Hi there, welcome to the Offensive C Sharp course. My name is Nikhil and also known as Texist9, and I will be the instructor for this course. Throughout this course, we will be learning the C Sharp programming language from basics, and we will try to interact with the Windows Active Directory and enumerate Active Directory, and then we will take a look at some of the privilege creation techniques, persistent techniques, and we will also use the Windows API using this C Sharp. And in that, using that Windows API, we will be doing some code injection techniques. So let's get started. First of all, why should we need to learn programming language when there are ton of tools? Tools are also created using the programming language, so those tools are not fallen from sky. They are written using some programming language, and writing tools gives us much more understanding of a topic. So if you write tools, you need to do the step-by-step process in the programming language, so that gives much more understanding of what a tool is doing or how the concept works. We can tweak our tools or can write our own automation tools, so we can tweak others tools. If there is any functionality missing in the tool, you can add that functionality, because when you know programming language. And we can also write our own automation tools using the programming language, and gives ability to read the code, so you don't blindly run any code. Not all the code hosted on GitHub is safe. You need to first inspect the code before you run it. The very helpful advantage of these programming languages is if you learn one programming language, including object-oriented concepts, every other programming language feels similar, because the concepts will be the same, but there will be only the syntax changes. So if you learn programming language, one programming language good, then you will find easy to switch to any other programming language. Also, sometimes you need to, during the pen test, you may run into some code. You need to use some code, then you need to read the code, so you don't blindly run that malicious code and affect the organization systems. And why C Sharp? C Sharp gives almost full access to the Windows components such as file system, registry, Windows API, etc. And C Sharp is also developed by Microsoft. And C Sharp has ton of libraries supporting databases, web frameworks. You can do the full stack using the C Sharp. And desktop UI, you can build Windows applications and networking. And Active Directory, you can access the Active Directory using, you can enumerate using the C Sharp. And C Sharp has the garbage collector, which is memory management, which does memory management for us. So if you allocate some memory in other programming languages like C, C++, that memory should be freed. Otherwise, if there is a loop or your program is very large, then that memory will be there, and it affects the performance. You need to free that memory, but C Sharp has the garbage collector, which does memory management, which frees automatically all of this allocated data. We will be often come across these words, .NET Core and .NET Framework. So this .NET Core supports cross-platform applications for Windows, Linux and mobile apps. So these are like core components of .NET, which supports cross-platform. If you make the binary for Windows, it will run on the Linux. So this .NET Core is you can build some apps, web apps, desktop apps, etc. .NET Framework supports only Windows but contains wide variety of library which supports our operations. So this .NET Framework has much more libraries that are specific to the Windows. That means if you compile a binary with the .NET Framework and if it uses any Windows namespaces or Windows related DLLs, then it won't work on Linux. And .NET Framework supports different languages, for example C#, VB.NET, F#, PowerShell, and so many other languages. These languages uses .NET classes and can be programmed in their respective languages. So the famous ones are C#, VB.NET, and PowerShell. So PowerShell is not like completely programming language, it's a scripting language for Windows, which can also use .NET classes for the operations. And many PowerShell tools leverages .NET classes, for example PowerView. So PowerView uses extensive LDAP queries, and then it also uses .NET classes as well to retrieve the data. So that is the difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework. Throughout this course we will be making the binaries under the .NET Framework. So that means okay, I will explain this in next slide. So common language, runtime, and class library. So these two are the main components for the .NET. CSC stands for C# compiler, converts our code into intermediate language called MSIL, Microsoft Intermediate Language. So whatever the code you write on the editor or IDE, so this C# compiler converts into intermediate language, and this intermediate code will be converted to machine code by JIT compiler, and this will be in the CLR. So these class libraries provide different namespaces for the operations, for databases, web frameworks, etc. So to run our .NET Framework binaries, .NET Framework should be installed on the machine. If there is no .NET Framework installed on that machine, if we go and run our binary, it says .NET Framework required by the application. And C# code is called managed code. That means it is managed by CLR. So this CLR manages everything. So that's why it's called managed code. Unmanaged code means the code compiled from other languages like C, C++. That directory runs without any .NET Framework. So I think that's all about the introduction of the C#. You don't need to learn deeply about the CLR. Just keep in mind that this is required to run the .NET Framework binaries.